Hey everyone, welcome to the Movie Hangout, and this is my rant on Black Panther. Well, Black Panther just opened this past weekend, and I gotta tell you, I've never seen so much hype for a Marvel movie in my life. Um, this is bigger than all the Avengers, this is bigger than Guardians of the Galaxy, this is bigger than even Logan with Hugh Jackman, the final installment of him playing Wolverine. It's off the charts, and it's blowing up social media, every single platform. The whole cast has been everywhere, all over every talk show. It's on billboards, you name it. And I mean, it's a good movie. There's a lot of problems with it, and what I've noticed, and I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this as well, is that there's a growing divide between the critics and the public. And nothing illustrates this better than when you go to Rotten Tomatoes. Uh, okay, so for this movie, Black Panther, when you look at the tomato meter, it's at about 97%. If you look at the audience score is at 75%. And I'm seeing more and more of this, I'm sure you are as well, is that the critic sites are giving big budget studio films overly favorable ratings. And the audiences are kind of giving them like pretty much a C plus to a D. And I think we're going to see more and more of this because studios are notorious for trying to control what the public thinks and perceives about their product. And I know Rotten Tomatoes was purchased a couple years ago by Warner Brothers. So obviously, that's a huge studio. There's a lot of vested interest in there. And the Rotten Tomato critics, for this movie in particular, had a lot of social pressure on them to give it 100%. In fact, it had 100% up until about a day and a half ago. And it's, in fact, right now, 281 certified, whatever that means, critics gave it fresh, and only 9 gave it rotten, okay? And all 9 of those critics have been getting a lot of heat. They've been called racist. They've been called all these ridiculous things when, I mean, this is just a movie. This is a cartoon character. I mean, who cares? I mean, you're not racist if you don't like a movie. I mean, nobody's racist if they don't like Spider-Man or Batman or Superman. I mean, it's ridiculous. But I'm noticing more and more of a divide between the critics and the audiences. And another example of that is Star Wars The Last Jedi. I mean, critics loved it, audiences hated it, and you can listen to my other rant about that and the problems with that movie, but I'm not going to get into it. So it's the rating that is the divide is a big problem, and we're going to see more of it. I guarantee it. Also, a lot of the hype about this movie, I feel, was not about the quality of the movie, which is a shame because, a movie should stand on its own legs if it is beautifully acted, beautifully written, cinematography, the direction is good. It should be able to stand on its own merits. And that's what I wanted to see because, all the other movies are like that coming out of Marvel. But with this one, it was pushed as a social cause, which I always hate because, when I go to see a movie, I want to see a movie to be entertained. I don't want like some Hollywood executive telling me I'm too dumb or ignorant to, figure things out for myself and I need to be told what to think, and I think everybody kind of feels that way. Who wants to be told what to do by somebody that, you don't even know, and you don't even know if that person's a good person anyway. So this movie's being hyped falsely as the first big blockbuster black superhero, which is just clearly not true. I mean, there are many examples of it, namely One of my favorite characters is Blade. Blade came out in the 90s with Wesley Snipes, who was a huge star. He was way bigger than Chadwick, okay? More people in the world knew who Wesley Snipes was than Chadwick, okay? I mean, it wasn't even close. And Blade was an awesome character. Nobody talked about race when it came to Blade. At least nobody that I knew. We all talked about how awesome the character was, how badass he was, how he kicked ass, how he was an amazing martial artist. The scenes were cool. The one-liners were awesome. They were on par with the 80s action movies. And we watched it again and again, and there were 3 installments to the film, to the franchise. It was a great trilogy. It was a movie that stood on its own merits, and that was it. My theory is that now movies have changed. Now there are so many movies coming out every year because of the democratization of filmmaking. It's so easy to make a movie now and distribute it because of all of these sites you can upload your film to, that in order to stand out, you have to now not only be a good film or even a mediocre film, you have to be a social cause. And that's what this movie has become. It's no longer just a film, it's a social cause. So if you don't like the film, if you have any constructive criticism about it, about any of the special effects being too cartoonish looking, maybe the plot is a little, it's a little off, anything like that, then you're not critiquing a movie, you're critiquing a cause. And so you're looked at and treated like you're a bad person or something. And I guarantee that's part of the reason why only 9, I mean, that's crazy. Only 9 out of 290 critics said the movie wasn't perfect. I mean, there's something going on. I, for one, would like this movie to do well and just be remembered as a good movie. And hopefully in the future, looking back at it, it will be. But unfortunately, it looks like this is a growing trend with movie studios. They're trying to kind of create fake controversy amongst the public, stir up a lot of anger against each other, and then hoping that more people will come to the film. And I mean, it looks like the movie's doing really good, and I would like to think that that's because it's just a good movie, but I don't know. There's a lot of division about this film that just seems kind of made up and fake to me. When I read a lot of these, the film critic blogs and listen to some of the interviews by some of the people, I mean, it's ridiculous. I don't know anybody that's upset about a big budget black superhero. I just don't know anybody that's like that. There's some interesting political themes in this film. The Black Panther is being considered maybe like the first nationalist superhero. It's even being looked at as the first alt-right superhero. And I noticed some interesting things about it. The civilization, the made-up civilization that the Black Panther rules over in Africa, the people there are anti-immigration, meaning they don't want outsiders coming in. They're isolationists, meaning they're 100% self-sufficient. They are pro-border, pro-wall. They want to protect themselves against the outside world. And in fact, because they have protected themselves against the outside world with their advanced technology, they've thrived, which is interesting because a lot of Hollywood is open border against walls of any kind. Strict trade restrictions, anti-diversity, which is a big one because Hollywood has been pushing really hard the last 20 years about diversity. You can't have enough diversity. But with this film, there's no diversity at all. The whole main cast is black. So they kind of rule out their own argument, and the better this movie does, the more it kind of destroys the pro-diversity movement, because you can have no diversity in a movie and it actually does better than movies that push diversity. And I would like to think that it's just because it's a good story. It's got nothing to do with trying to pick people that all look drastically different. It's when even if a cast looks the same, if the characters are compelling, people are going to want to go see it. They are an ethno-nationalist country, and that's totally true. It's a 100% black country in Africa, which would make sense. And they are anti-refugee. They don't want people coming in. They're anti-democracy. They are a patriarchy / monarchy, depending on if it's a king or a queen ruling over them. And they are extremely traditionalist. They have deeply ingrained traditions in their culture that are norms and have to be shown a lot of respect because they are sacred. And if you go against that, then that's a big taboo in that society. And I just found it really interesting because a lot of these key political points are against what Hollywood is trying to project to the American public, especially Middle America. And it's definitely interesting. It creates a lot of debate. As far as the quality of the film, the action is okay. I would have liked to have seen a lot more fighting, especially him in the suit, I actually think the upgrades to the suit kind of take away from the character a little bit. I liked how the suit looked in the previous Avenger movies. But it's still pretty cool. It was really cool to kind of see traditional African garbs and wardrobe, but with more of kind of like a futuristic technology added to them. So that was a really neat blending. I'm not going to get too deep into the story at all, but there were definitely some problems with the film. But it was kind of just the overall hype or fake hype about this movie that was just so needless. I think the movie would have done great without it. And I think a lot of it was just pushed by the movie studio to kind of create a lot of positive and a lot of negative energy in the country between people when it didn't even need to be. Because like I said in the past, Blade, Spawn was a huge movie at the time. It didn't even have an eighth of the amount of money that was put into the production either, and it was still a huge movie. I remember that one coming out back in 1997, and that was a black superhero as well. And it didn't need any type of made-up controversy or anything with it. But let me know what you think. Have you noticed kind of this trend in movies, especially starting out this year? Let me know. Let me know if you think I'm full of crap and I don't know what I'm talking about. It's all good, man. If you want to get future reviews on movies, rants, and also original content, click subscribe. Later.